Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Martin Phillipson. I'm the Dean of the College of Law, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our first-year welcoming ceremony presented by Burnett, Duckworth, and Palmer. I'd like you to please now welcome our incoming first-year students. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, students, staff, faculty, cloakers, honored guests, family and friends, and those watching online. We're excited to have you with us today to help formally welcome our first-year students to the College of Law. As we gather here today, we acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. The first year welcoming ceremony is intended to be a ritual marking the beginning of a new intellectual journey, one that will be transformative and enriching for students embarking upon their legal studies. Part of the ceremony includes our first years reciting the student commitment. This commitment has been derived from the University of Saskatchewan Learning Charter, which was established in 2010 to define aspirations about the learning experience that the university aims to provide. You will find the student commitment in your program, along with commitments from both the institution and our faculty. Together, these commitments define the roles that each party plays in ensuring every student at the University of Saskatchewan is given an optimal learning experience. I also want to emphasize the role that our guests here today play. Parents, partners, grandparents, children, family, and friends. The support you've provided and the support that you will continue to provide to these students does not go unnoticed, and we thank you for playing such an important role in the lives in each and every one of them. You might be interested to know that we're welcoming 127 new students today, and they come from all across Canada, and as they cross the stage, they will tell you their name and where they're from, and you'll get an idea of the geographic span of the class of 2021. They have a wide variety of professional and educational backgrounds, including teaching, science, landscaping, victim support, and former RCMP constables. This is also a very special class because we have 24 students currently studying in Iqaluit Nunavut, who will also be members of the graduating class of 2021. So this will be the largest graduating class and make it one of the most interesting first-year classes we've ever had. It's a wonderful thing that we'll have groups of students all over the country. As we go through the ceremony, please follow along in your programs for complete bios of each speaker and gown presenter. I would now like to welcome Elder Louise Hoff to bring greetings and to say a blessing.
I don't have briefing notes, so I'm going to greet you like he's done a little bit already. Welcome everybody to Cree Territory and to the Métis Nation and to all of our nations. I want to share you a short story about my family, because I know about perseverance, I know about courage, I know about risk-taking, and I know about the diligence that goes into the studies and how far you've already come. When my husband started medical school, the day he started medical school, we lost our second child. She died at birth. It taught us so much about courage and the ability to persevere and to go on. My first child, Asanibat, went to medical school at Calgary. And he persevered too, raising two boys at the same time. My grandson is fourth generation physician as well. So I know the hard work that you are bringing forth in your studies, and I'm so proud of all of you. I have a habit of crying at important occasions. I'll try not to cry. But you know, I ask the Creator today to bless you with the perseverance that you will need when you're discouraged and in a dark place, that you will have the courage to hold somebody's hand and pull them along, because that's what you'll need to do when the studies get tough. And I hope in the process of your studies you will think about the Métis people of this country and their struggles, the Aboriginal people of this country and our struggles. I ask the Creator to bless you with the wisdom, the life that you have tasted, to bring forth the things that you need in order to walk this good path. I thank the Creator for this life, for the blessings of this breath, for the fire within us that keeps us going. And I thank the Creator for the earth, for the sustenance she has provided every day of our lives. And I thank each and every one of you for the honor of sharing these words and for being part of this university. Thank you.
As the name of the event would suggest, it would not be possible without the support of the Burnett, Duckworth & Palmer law firm. BDP has committed $200,000 over 10 years to sponsor this ceremony. Today we have with us Robert Matz, Associate at Burnett, Duckworth & Palmer in Calgary. Rob received his BA from the University of Saskatchewan in 2001 and his Bachelor of Laws from our college in 2010. He also had the privilege of serving on Law Review when I was the editor of Law Review, and he managed to survive that relatively unscathed. Please welcome Rob Matz.
Thank you. BDP is very proud to be associated with the College of Law and this event. BDP has been around since 1905, and we've got a long association with the College of Law. A number of my colleagues are from the U of S, and our former managing partner, Gary Bugeaud, and his wife, Tammy, have contributed to one of the scholarships that will be awarded today. For myself personally, it's exciting for me to be here. I pretty much grew up on this campus. My parents are profs here. As Dean Phillipson said, I did my undergrad here, played football here, and then after going to the United States for a little bit, came back and did my law degree here. And I'm always thankful that I did. One of the best things about the college is the incredible sense of community that you develop here. And there are many things that contribute to this. You have great professors. You have an incredibly supportive legal community in this province that has made incredible contributions to law in this country. But most importantly, the college cultivates a real sense of community among its students. And this lasts long after you leave this place. And after you graduate, you'll find yourself as part of the larger community of U of S grads that are scattered everywhere. I'm in Calgary at BDP, and most of my good friends in Calgary are people I graduated from law school with. We even continue the U of S tradition of excellence in slow pitch and have a U of S grad slow pitch team that took a league championship last year. So something to aspire to. In my experience, you're embarking on a legal education at one of the best law schools in the country, and I really hope you guys have as great a time here as I did. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Check's in the mail. Next, I would like to welcome the Honourable Robert Richards, Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, to bring greetings from the Court of Appeal.
Thank you very much, Dean Phillipson. I'm pleased to be here this afternoon and to be able to be a small part of this special ceremony marking the launch of the academic legal careers of the class of 2021. Let me begin by congratulating each of the students who's here today as part of this class. We all know that the law school entrance hurdle is a high one, and it takes both talent and work to clear it. And I take my hat off to each of you for having been chosen to be part of the select group that will now enjoy the true privilege of studying law at this college. I likely have more to say than I should, so I will be briefer than I might have been. But I do want to emphasize that this sort of occasion is one where it likely is worth reflecting a little bit on what law and lawyering is all about. There's the famous line from Henry VI where Jack the Butcher says, as you remember, first thing, let's kill all the lawyers. A sobering thought, or at least it will be in 3 or 4 years for the incoming class. But the real point of this is not what most people think, i.e. that lawyers were somehow despised or somehow in such ill repute that Jack wanted to do away with them. The real point is that Jack's idea was if there were no lawyers, anarchy would quickly follow, and it would be then open to him and his crew to overthrow the government. So what Shakespeare is really saying in that play, and this is my point, is that law and lawyers are critical to the functioning of an organized society. And so it is. Every day and in every corner of the world, lawyers are doing very, very important work. They defend the innocent and safeguard rights. They build and maintain the institutions and the business relationships that makes economies work. They help people arrange their family and their personal affairs. At every single turn, lawyers are involved in making communities and countries work. And lawyers make these contributions, as you know, in all sort of contexts, in private practice, in government, in academia, in business, and so forth. In big ways and in little ways, lawyers are on the front lines of what truly is an ongoing struggle to protect liberty and to ensure justice and to promote social order and harmony. I want to emphasize, because I truly do think this is serious business, that by deciding to enter law school, you've made a decision. You've elected to become part of a truly great tradition and to follow in the footsteps of some of history's most remarkable people. Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer. Mahatma Gandhi was a lawyer. Nelson Mandela was a lawyer. 2/3 of our country's prime ministers have been lawyers. So none of that is by accident. Law and lawyers are really at the very center of things. And over the next 3 years, you'll learn about this fascinating project that the old folks sitting here at the front know about, the project of the law. How is it that our society orders power and regulates the relationships between individual people in the states or between and among individual citizens? What are the limits of the state's power when it comes to enforcing criminal laws or fighting terrorism? And so on and so on. Lecture by lecture, course by course, and year by year, you'll acquire an understanding of the rules and the systems that make our world work. It used to be said that in first year law school, they scared you to death, and in second year they worked you to death, and in third year they bored you to death. Dean Phillipson has assured me that's no longer true, any of it. But you will learn new ways of thinking about things, new ways of looking at the world, new ways of analyzing problems. As Professor Kingsfield said in The Paper Chase, a bit of an exaggeration, but there's a good deal of truth in it. You enter law school with a head full of mush, and you'll leave thinking like lawyers. You'll leave with an intellectual toolkit that will serve you well for the rest of your professional lives, no matter what direction those lives take. I was a first-year law student here 42 years ago. It shocks me to say that, but it's true. My classmates went on to become everything from legal aid lawyers to politicians to public servants to business people to prosecutors and to practitioners in firms, big and in small. And all of those options and more will obviously be open to you as well in the years ahead. So on my behalf personally and on behalf of my colleagues at the Court of Appeal, please accept very best wishes for success and satisfaction in your studies over the next 3 years. I know that like those of you who have gone before you, like most of the folks in the front row here, you'll meet those challenges. There will be challenges, but you will meet them. Your years at the college, as Rob has said, will be memorable ones, and in significant ways, I think they will mark you for life and mark you in a good way. So enjoy them and take from this experience all that you can. The world needs lawyers, and it needs you, and there's a lot to look forward to.
Thank you, Chief Justice Richards. I would now like to welcome the Honourable Justice Darrell LeBock to the stage to bring greetings from the Court of Queen's Bench.
Chief Justice Richards, Madam Justice Hollins, Judge Crooks, Dean Phillipson, distinguished guests, parents, and first-year law students, good afternoon. I am pleased to bring greetings and congratulations on behalf of Chief Justice Popescu and my colleagues on the Saskatchewan Court of Queen's Bench. Because I don't have any of my decisions before the Court of Appeal, I'm going to say, Chief Justice, if that was your idea of being brief, I'd hate to see if you were going to give us a lengthier speech. As I look out at the first years, I say to you, welcome. You are the chosen ones. You worked hard to get here. You went through the application process, and you made it. Bravo. But now the real work begins, for you are attending one of the most respected law schools in the country. Established in 1912, the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan is the oldest law school in Western Canada. And in its 106 years of existence, a Prime Minister, a Governor General, premiers, politicians, Supreme Court justices, Chief Justices, legal scholars, and an innumerable number of characters, including myself, have walked these hallowed halls. The same halls you will walk for the next 3 years. I graduated from this law school 30 years ago, and I could tell you stories from the past, but I will not. Those stories must remain buried, lest I get a call from Judicial Council. You, however, will make your own stories. You will draw your own script, because you are the future. When I was here, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms was in its infancy. The Colin Thatcher murder case was still capturing the public's attention. Professor Ron Cumming and his Personal Property Security Act were both still young. And tuition fees for law school were $1,500. But as with anything, things have changed. The charter is now middle-aged. Colin Thatcher has faded away into the coulees around Moose Jaw. The PPSA has gone through a couple of machinations, and tuition certainly isn't $1,500 anymore. And the domain of the law has changed. We are no longer constrained by our borders. Our First Nations brethren are being heard, and the proliferation of social media has been unprecedented. You will graduate with that Juris Doctorate degree. You will go out into the world, and you will be lawyers, politicians, judges, business people, scholars, or anything else you want to be. You will use your legal knowledge gleaned from this law school to deal with the vast array of legal issues created by the exponential growth of the internet. You will be part of the development of Indigenous self-government and the challenges that will arise out of that. You will be called upon to address LGBTQ rights in the context of mainstream society. You will combat racism that has become all too prevalent in our communities. And you will have to decide how to deal with those politicians who say theirs is a democracy, but act as if it is a dictatorship. This is your world. But while the legal landscape has changed, the ideals of the legal profession remain. As lawyers, you will be defenders of civil rights, guardians of liberty, advocates of just causes, no matter how unpopular, protectors of the powerless, and counselors of society. This is the torch that those of us that came before you passed to you, and this is what you will be trained to become. With this ceremony, you take on a responsibility above and apart from the rest of society. By donning the robe, you accept new obligations, new standards, and new principles, and you must adhere to them inflexibly. For if you do not, allegiance to freedom and justice is impossible. So for the next 3 years, open your minds, work hard, play hard, talk and share ideas, develop friendships, respect your classmates, and create your own stories. If you do that, you will leave here thinking like a lawyer, full of talent and with the tools to shape the law and change the world for years to come. My law school years were some of the best years of my life. I hope the same holds true for you. On behalf of the judges of the Saskatchewan Court of Queen's Bench, welcome to the practice of law. Thank you.
Yeah, law school was the best 7 years of my life. I'd now like to call upon the Honourable Judge Natasha Crooks to bring greetings from the Saskatchewan Provincial Court.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice Richards, Justice Lebach, Justice Hollins, Elder Hoff, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and especially to the law students we are here to welcome today. I would first like to thank Dean Phillipson for the privilege of participating in this event. It is a true honor to bring greetings on behalf of Chief Judge Plemmel and the judges of the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan. It takes tremendous hard work to achieve this milestone, and I congratulate you all on your acceptance to the College of Law. I am a proud graduate of this college. I remember my first days of law school, especially the excitement and the pride of being a law student. When thinking about what advice or comment I could provide to you, there is one thing that stood out most for me. It was a piece of wisdom shared by my brother, my younger brother, who is not here, so I can give him credit and hope he never finds out. He's also a graduate of this college. When I began law school, he gave me this advice. It has shaped my career, guiding my decisions along my path. And he told me this: the only non-renewable resource you have in this profession is your reputation. At the time, I did not realize how truly meaningful this was. I was swept up in the excitement of a completely new career path. However, I have often thought back on this, and it became more and more significant as my career progressed. Now, that's not to say that I didn't make some, maybe many, mistakes along the way, and I'm certainly not here to tell you what choices you should make. What I can share with you is that maintaining your ethics and your integrity will at times be a challenge, as well as a tremendous source of pride throughout your education and your career. This is just the beginning of an exciting and fulfilling journey in an honorable profession. Each of you will use your education and your skills to become advocates, mediators, peacemakers, and community leaders. The people you are surrounded by today and for the next 3 years are those you will likely come across throughout the rest of your career. If I could leave you with any advice, it is to work hard and enjoy your time. But remember that your reputation in this profession starts in law school and not on the day you become a lawyer. Again, my congratulations to you all, and I extend the congratulations of the judges of the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Crooks, another person who survived some of my classes. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Craig Zawada, QC, to bring greetings on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Martin. On behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan and its over 1,900 members, I'm happy to bring greetings and best wishes as you start your legal careers. Before we started, I was talking with some of the guests, and I admitted that I don't have great memories of Convocation Hall. You see, I wrote my LSAT in this room, and although that turned out well, it was a gross underutilization of a beautiful building and a beautiful room, and I trust you will have better memories of Convocation Hall in the future. Yes, I was once one of you, nervously, at least in my case, listening for clues as to what was in store for me at law school. I do remember, literally, the now cliched statement of look to your left, look to your right. One of the three of you will no longer be here by the time graduation rolls around. That was false. But there are other rumors you've no doubt heard that friends have no doubt told you that will also not be true. Sometimes you hear about how cutthroat law students are, so much so that they'll rip out pages from case digests so that their supposed rivals won't see them, or how it's too elitist, or that you'll find your leisure time disappears completely with the demands of work. I can tell you not to believe those myths. I have the chance to talk to a lot of students during our firm's recruiting and networking events, and almost 100% say their biggest surprise was how collegial and friendly it was with students and faculty. Sure, there are things you don't know right now, but that's the interesting part. You will know much more about yourselves and about the world around you when you graduate, and you will have met many more interesting people. So don't discard the skills and knowledge that got you here. Most of it is still applicable after all. But don't be afraid of the unknown. Like that great philosopher Tom Petty said, most things I worry about never happen anyway. In time, many of you will be members of our law society or one of the others across the country or around the world. Even if it is not in your career plans, don't be shy about reaching out to the law society or its members now. You may not be a formal member, but you can learn much about the profession through the law society and the lawyers that are part of it. And just as importantly, we can benefit from the ideas you can contribute. It will be your profession after all, and so you can all help build it to suit the needs for decades to come. So congratulations as you start your law school careers, and I look forward to running into you many times in the future.
Thank you, Craig. I'm now delighted to introduce Anthony Vanelli, Provost and Vice President Academic at the University of Saskatchewan, to bring greetings on behalf of the university community. And he's my boss, so be nice to him, okay?
Just before I begin, it's amazing to me that an engineer can sit on the front row and be up here addressing you, so I hope you'll allow me that one allowance. Thank you, and it's a real pleasure for me to be here. Students, faculty, staff, honored guests, family and friends, especially the family and friends that have produced what's before us. Thank you very much. It is a real privilege to be here on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan to greet you and to take part in this great event by the College of Law's first-year welcoming ceremony. I would like to begin by thanking Elder Louise Haff. Her words help us live with aspirations where we are about being diverse in an inclusive environment, and welcome to all, and to the honorable guests that are before me on the first row. I'm also pleased to hear the students that take part are committed to our learning charter, the goal of which is to optimize the learning experience of every student in this university. The College of Law is one of the most historic in all of Canada. It is the oldest law school in Western Canada, and it's wonderful that you have chosen to earn your Juris Doctor degree here at the University of Saskatchewan. You may or may not know, but the University of Saskatchewan is a member of a group called the U15, which is one of the top 15 research-intensive medical doctoral universities in this country. As a student, you will learn from some of the brightest legal scholars in this country, some who have spoken before you. You will have access to centers and programs that are held in high regard, like Classic, the Native Law Center, and Create Justice. Your entrance to law school also means that you are now part of an outstanding community of professionals. In a few short years, you will graduate and join a group of alumni, including many nation builders, such as Prime Minister Diefenbaker, among other achievements, was responsible for the Bill of Rights. Ellen Schmeiser played a key role in the Matrimonial Property Act development. Ted Hughes, Chief Adjudicator in Residential School Settlement Claims. Tilly Taylor, the first chairperson of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission, and Palbinder Kaur Shergill, first turbaned Sikh Supreme Court Judge in Canada. The work and commitment of these and so many other outstanding individuals has built the college's reputation, and you too will build the college's reputation as you develop your careers. If I can just go off script for 2 minutes. I am a child of an immigrant family that came to Canada after World War II. I was born in Canada. I was born in Montreal, actually when the Montreal Canadiens were winning Stanley Cups. That's a long time ago, folks. And what I want to talk to you about is a hope. I'm talking to the students that are before me and family and friends as witnesses. My family, among others, that came to this country as immigrants, and the Canadians that were here at the time, the Canadians that are here at this time, and continue to change as a country, came here with hope that this country would protect them from the chaos and anarchy that was in Europe at that time and the rest of the world when law had disappeared. They relied on their instincts and judgment that this country would protect them and their children. And they were absolutely right. Everything we've talked about has context, it has meaning, and it means something to people who really believe in law. That is you. There is an important mission and journey you are going upon that leads to success if you achieve what is important in protecting human rights, human dignity, diversity, reconciliation, and all that leads to civility and what is right in protecting humanity from the chaos that is out there. And ladies and gentlemen, the world is getting much, much darker these days. Your profession is needed more than ever to remind us of what we need to avoid that. Be that light and show it. Show it every day as you go through first year, second year, and become the scholars that you can be to have impact like the ladies and gentlemen that are before you that are doing it right now. That is your role and that is your destiny. But more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, and as students, I really wish all the success and stay on that journey and path and do it with conviction. You will be rewarded every day of your life. Thank you very much, and all welcome.
Thanks, Tony. I'm now delighted to welcome the Honourable Madam Justice Michelle Hollins of the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta as our keynote speaker this afternoon. Originally from Saskatchewan, Michelle obtained her BSc from Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas in 1987, and then her LLB from the U of S in 1992. She was a classmate of mine. After clerking at the Saskatchewan Court of Queen's Bench, she worked at McCarthy Tetro in Calgary until 2001, when she joined the firm of Dunphy Best Bloxham. She became a partner in 2004 and received her Queen's Counsel designation in 2008. Before her appointment to the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta in March 2017, she had a varied civil and commercial litigation practice with a focus on employment law. She had extensive courtroom experience before all levels of Alberta courts, and in 2012-13 was lead counsel to the Provincial Public Inquiry regarding preferential access to health care. Michelle was involved in the Canadian Bar Association for many years, including serving as national president in 2014-15. She received the Louis Saint Laurent Award for service to the CBA in 2010 and the Women in Law Leadership Award in 2013. Please welcome Madam Justice Hollins.
Thank you very much, Dean Phillipson. Honored guests, fellow alumni, families and friends of the honorees, and you, the U of S College of Law graduating class of 2021. It's a remarkable privilege to be asked to address you today, and I know that this invitation puts me in the company of the highest of achievers, people like former University President Peter McKinnon and former Premier of Saskatchewan Roy Romanow. That is pretty sobering. When I consider the shadows cast by these and other former speakers, I can't help but feel that I failed somehow to reach my own full potential. However, this is my second invitation to speak at this ceremony, so perhaps this is a chance to get it right. If this is indeed my chance for redemption, I'm going to need all of you to clap really loudly when I'm done, so I'll appreciate that. I do take seriously the opportunity to speak to you today. This is a big day for you and for your families. It's somewhat similar to the bar admission ceremonies that we have in Alberta for students who have completed their articles and are being called to the bar as full-fledged lawyers. This is a ceremony conducted in front of a judge where the principal of the articling student presents the student for admission to the bar, usually by way of a biographical roast. In my current job, I conduct a lot of bar admission ceremonies for lawyers called to the Bar of Alberta. In fact, we're the only jurisdiction left in Canada that does individual bar calls. The day that a student of law becomes a lawyer is a big one, and I know from experience that it's a day they will never forget. When I was called to the bar in Calgary, my twin daughters were about 5 years old, and they were sitting in the gallery with my parents during the ceremony, and I could hear one of them, I think it was Jessica, in that child whisper, really loud whisper, "When do we eat?" While your admission to the bar is a few years away, this is a similarly important moment for you. As Dean Phillipson has said on occasion, the hardest part about law school is getting in. So you are entitled to be proud of yourselves already. In fact, this is probably the best time to be proud of yourselves before you get your Christmas exam marks. But I'll back up a bit in my own story. Those twin daughters of mine were just babies when I started law school here. I'd actually begun my professional path towards medicine, but I struggled with the MCAT, which obviously doesn't measure real intelligence. Having two babies to contend with, I thought, well, I can't be a doctor with two little kids. Maybe I'll go to law school. Now, at the time, I was working full-time night shifts in a warehouse. I knew nothing about the law. I knew no lawyers. There were no lawyers in my family, extended family, or my friend circle. But I did watch LA Law. Now, I'll be surprised if any of the students know that show, but certainly your parents will. And I watched it, and I thought, well, they have one meeting a week and they sleep with each other. It's not rocket science. So, in default of medicine, I went to law school with 14-month-old twins. My then husband and I split up in second year, and I became the single mother of toddlers with a year and a half left to go. At least every couple of weeks, I'd begin the climb to the third-floor admin offices to withdraw. But the climb was so long that by the time I got there, I'd had lots of time to weigh my options, and the best one was always to keep going. Now, that wasn't just force of will. My resolve, my finishing law school, was the result of a lot of tangible support that I received from classmates and particularly from the faculty, including Dean McKinnon, and from professors, including Professor Wiegers, who is still here. Because of the support from that new community, I finished my degree, clerked with Queen's Bench in Regina, articled in Calgary with McCarthy Tatro, became a partner in another law firm, and eventually a judge on the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta. And those massively inconvenient toddlers, well, one went on to an engineering degree and then an MBA at Columbia, and the other spent 8 years as a sports broadcaster and then decided to go to law school. In fact, she is just starting law school, the same as you, at Northwestern University in Chicago. That I would ever decide on law school, miraculously get into law school, get through law school with aforementioned support, and then have my life and the lives of my children unfold in such amazing ways would have been incomprehensible to me then. But these are the ripples in the water that began for me in September of 1989 and which begin for you today. Your outcomes may right now be only barely visible, but by virtue of your butt sitting in that chair, you have opportunities right now to create lives that most people will never be able to imagine. Law school will be a lot of things for you, but importantly, those will be of your own making. Notwithstanding my challenges with young kids and the end of my marriage, law school was 3 of the best years of my life. It literally changed my life, and I say that all the time because it's true. I left an abusive marriage because I finally realized that I was not stupid or crazy. I realized that I could provide for my kids and create a life, and I could do it all while doing something that I was good at and enjoyed. When people like Dean Phillipson speak to you about the opportunity you have before you, those are not just platitudes. Law school will change your lives too. How? Well, a friend of mine challenged me earlier this year to make a top 10 list of the best things about having a legal education. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I did pick a few of the things that I think law school will do for you. Number one, law school will make you a better citizen. It will educate you about the underpinnings of our political system and engage you in debate about our current government, including its laws, how those laws affect Canadians, and how they could be better. And make no mistake, some of you here will end up writing those laws. Some of you will end up governing the rest of us. A deep respect for the rule of law begins here. As an example, when we see things that we are seeing south of the border, immigrant families separated, decades of evolution towards equal rights for women now in reverse, and permitted voter suppression, that is not politics. Or at least it's not just about politics, it's about the law. As Canadians and global citizens, your legal education is going to equip you not just to participate in, but to shape the development of our laws, whether as active, informed voters or as government leaders. So if you believe that you are an MLA or an MP or a premier or a prime minister in waiting, I challenge you to begin to think right now about the kind of leader that you will be and how to educate yourself on law and the rule of law. And for the rest of you, well, be nice to everyone, just in case. Number two, law school will make you a better communicator. Whether you are on the receiving end of Professor Flanagan's Socratic questioning, or you're forced to give a presentation on the division of powers to your classmates, or you're participating in any of the many moot competitions, you will inevitably hone a very important skill here, arguing. Your spouses, significant others, and roommates will be so happy to have you come home every night and decompress from your day by picking, and of course winning, endless arguments about nothing. All kidding aside, learning to express yourself more effectively is one of the most important life skills you can have, regardless of where you go from here. Public speaking may not be your gig, but even corporate lawyers have to negotiate. They have to present to boards of directors. Litigators have to take obscure expert opinions and make judges like me, who struggle with the concept of the red and black ends on a battery, understand all kinds of concepts and facts that are foreign to us. Even research lawyers, who don't have any interest in a courtroom, have to communicate their understanding of complex areas of law in a usable, digestible way. Focus on your communication skills while you're here and push yourself outside of what you're already comfortable with. There's perhaps no more valuable skill than effective communication. And for the record, arguing with your spouse about nothing is the opposite of effective communication. Law school, number three, law school will make you a more interesting person. Because law intersects with virtually every aspect of our lives, law continually teaches us a little bit about a lot of things. Now, you have to be a bit careful with this one. Knowing a little bit about a lot of things can make you interesting, or it can make you insufferable. For example, when I was speaking with my daughter, who's beginning law school now, trying to get some tips on what to say and what not to say, I told her about taking our dog to the groomers last weekend, and the groomers accidentally cut her tail, and she had to go to the vet and had to get stitches and so forth. Casey's response? I think that could be a trespass against a chattel. You see, she's fun and interesting already. Again, I'm kidding about something with a serious side. I was just appointed as a judge last year, and one of my favorite things about this new job, although it is also one of the most challenging, is having a front row seat to just how much life is going on out there. The law leads me daily into people's lives in ways I could never have imagined. It not only governs the obvious ways we interact with each other, for example, we're not allowed to kill each other, it determines who lives at home with their family awaiting trial and who doesn't. Whether a purchaser will have to buy a home he no longer wants, whether a union employee unable to work because of injury has recourse, and where little Sally will go to grade 1 when her divorced parents cannot agree on a school. And there are more things that the law is just beginning to deal with. What are the limits on the use of personal drones? Will we marry robots? And if we do, how will the rights and liabilities of such a family be apportioned? It's an exciting time. But more importantly, this is an exciting profession. There is no proverbial door that you will open, no hallway that you will go from here that will not involve the law somehow. Whether you ever practice law or not, The way you see and engage with the world will forever be different and hopefully more fulsome. Lastly, law school will enrich you. You will likely never again have the opportunity to spend 3 years in such close proximity to a group of people like this. In our class, which commenced in 1989, we had just over 100 students. We were, I believe, the first class to have more women than men, about 53%. Among our class, we had a young protege who was entering law school after 2 years of university. I don't think she was even 20. We had people like me, married with kids already. We had a fellow who had been an RCMP officer for many years. We had a professional engineer. We had a taxi driver who also happened to be a world-class competitive bridge player. We had First Nations people, we had farm kids, we had immigrants. I don't know much about the class of 2021, but I do know that you come from all over and all kinds of backgrounds, and that is the real opportunity for you. 3 years may seem like a long time today, but it is not. And even when it does move slowly, if it does, I can promise that in the aggregate, it will disappear in the blink of an eye. So soak up the stories of the people you are lucky enough to meet here. Learn something about the world or about a way of living in the world that you did not know. Enrich yourself. In closing, I'm going to give you a piece of advice that my daughter told me not to, but she's a first-year law student, so what does she know? I'm just kidding. I'm going to go back to my own story about how I drew on the support of my law school community during that time and encourage you to cultivate your own new community for yourself. I know that you are all grown, independent, accomplished people. You've worked hard to get here, and you've already succeeded where others have failed. You may think that all this means that you'll get through law school and practice and whatever else you do in life without ever needing the help of others. You won't. Eventually, we all need some help. And if you've had the foresight to care about the people around you, you'll have lots of help when it's your turn. So seize this opportunity. Wring every last drop of experience you can out of law school. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Thank you for having me. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Madam Justice Hollins. Before I introduce the cloakers, I just want to say a couple of things, and the first years may have heard this before, but it's worth repeating. I'm going to echo the comments of everybody who's spoken, that this is a tremendous opportunity for you to learn about yourself, to learn about a wonderful profession, and to leave your mark on society in a good way. I've talked to the first-year students every year about the ethos of this school is lawyer as public servant. Your job is to serve the public. We're going to educate you, you're going to develop a skill set, and you must apply that to serve the public. That is your role, that is your job, and that is your obligation as a lawyer. And we have a proud history of over a century alumni who've continued to do that. And again, as I said to the first-year students, we're proud of the Diefenbakers and all the judges and the fancy people, but we're just as proud of the thousands of graduates who've served their clients, served their communities, and served them well without much fanfare. We're very proud of all of you, and you're very fortunate to be, we're going to be adding 151 of you, hopefully, to the list of those alumni. It is also a great opportunity. I'm standing here because in 1988, the Graduate Studies Committee of the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan gave me $18,000 to come for 2 years to be a master's student at the school. I came from a very modest background in the United Kingdom, and I could not have come overseas to study my master's degree, and I would never have become a law professor and would not be standing here as dean, because the really smart people on the Grad Studies Committee in 1988 decided they would make an investment of $18,000 in me. This is the sort of school that you've joined, a place that will give you an opportunity, and it will change your life if you take that opportunity. There are 800 and something people, 873 people who also wanted to be here this year, and they didn't get in. So you have been given an opportunity, so your obligation is to make the most of that opportunity. Now, I would like to welcome our cloakers to the stage. We're lucky to have a number of College of Law alumni, staff, and students, as well as representatives from the legal community to present our first-year students with the gowns. What I'm going to ask the cloakers to do is to come forward, take their places on the stage, and I will introduce you one by one. Okay, what a handsome bunch. So first, Bo Atkins, College of Law alumnus and co-founder of Edge Family Law. Sarah Birmingham, College of Law alumna and assistant professor at the College of Law. Nicholas Can, College of Law alumnus and president of the CBA Saskatchewan branch. Ina Chada, College of Law alumna and chair of the board of the Human Rights Legal Support Centre in Ontario. The Honourable Judge Natasha Crooks, College of Law alumna and judge of the Saskatchewan Provincial Court in Saskatoon. Amanda Doucette, sessional lecturer and alumna of the College of Law and partner at Stevenson Hood Thornton Beaubier. Brett Matz, College of Law student and president of the Law Students Association. Jay Watson, with a very nice suit on, Jay. College of Law alumnus. You're all nicely dressed, but that's a really nice suit. College of Law alumnus and partner at Culinaire LLP. And Rihanna Worm, College of Law student and president of the Indigenous Law Students Association. Please welcome our cloakers. Okay.
Brinnick Timichuk, Wadena, Saskatchewan.
Jorge Alas, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jalen Allen, Allen, Saskatchewan.
Tristan Aronson, Calgary, Alberta.
Jesse Barron, Saltcoats, Saskatchewan.
Archer Bell, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Saul Benary, Calgary, Alberta.
Alan Barrio, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brittany Besmuko, Hafford, Saskatchewan.
Spencer Bozeric, Kitscoty, Alberta.
Levneet Brar, Oliver, British Columbia.
Larissa Burnoff, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Leah Bakovi, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Victoria Campbell, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Dallas Charles, Pelican Arrow, Saskatchewan.
Maddie Chauvet, Edmonton, Alberta.
Austin Cooper, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Billy Coates, Calgary, Alberta.
Alex Asmati, Calgary, Alberta.
Gregory Dale, Sylvan Lake, Alberta.
Derek DeBolt, Anmore, British Columbia.
Avneet Dillon, Calgary, Alberta.
Brandon Doan, Edmonton, Alberta.
Kayla Dodre, Birch Hill, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Durant, Tisdale, Saskatchewan.
Jeff Edgar, Edmonton, Alberta.
Riley Edwards, Windsor, Ontario.
Cheyenne Esmond, Regina, Saskatchewan. Hannah Fair, Thode, Saskatchewan.
Shelby Fitzgerald, Clavette, Saskatchewan.
Rebecca Flanagan, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Joelle French, Calgary, Alberta.
Ashley Fulton, Lethbridge, Alberta.
Devlin Gavin Hoslick, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Tyler Gervais, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Mustafa Gori, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Mariska Jaquetto, Montreal, Quebec.
Levi Graham, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jamie Gray, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Mark Hagan, Calgary, Alberta.
Will Hampton, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Christopher Handel, Red Deer, Alberta.
Jordan Handel, Red Deer, Alberta.
Jillian Harrington, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Evan Harvey, Victoria, British Columbia.
Abdul Hassan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jennifer Heimbecker, Muscadet First Nation, Treaty 6 territory.
Dolly Holloway, Canmore, Alberta.
Garrett Hudson, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Susan James, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Jutras, Abbotsford, BC.
Sam Kalmakoff, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Heather Kelly, White City, Saskatchewan.
Emily Tan Kim from Toronto, Ontario.
Diana Cotruliotis, Toronto, Ontario.
Kyra Kiava, Saskatchewan, Regina.
Julianne LeBock, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Anna Lakatch, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Daniel LeConte, Edmonton, Alberta.
Luke Lorente, Edmonton, Alberta.
Brittany Lydiot, Costin, British Columbia.
Michelle McDonald, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Zachary McLennan, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Nolan Mastel,
Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Ryan Mastel, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Ellen May Malin, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Mcbride, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Nicolette Morassi, Pelican Arrow, Saskatchewan.
Ramses Mickey Hansen, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Madison Miller, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Britannia Moorbutter, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Matthew Morris, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Shane Morrison, Lethbridge, Alberta.
Kennedy Morrow, Lanigan, Saskatchewan.
Jordan Mulligan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Chad Merton, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Mariam Nakash, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Abdul Nasimi, Toronto, Ontario.
Danny Nichols, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Justin Okerman, Sturgeon County, Alberta.
Marissa Olivier, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Levi Parody, Bengoff, Saskatchewan.
Matthew Pellerin, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Tyson Penner-Akus, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Elliot Peterson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Priyanka Prasad, Calgary, Alberta.
Turner Purcell, Calgary, Alberta.
Jessica Kwan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Acacia Rambo, The Paw, Manitoba.
Judy Roche, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Karen Rooney, Calgary, Alberta.
Taylor Rufus, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Bryce Safton, Calgary, Alberta.
Craig Savoie, Tabsontac, New Brunswick.
Mackenzie Scott, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Group Secon, Toronto, Ontario.
Aiden Sexsmith, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Tina Shagan, Calgary, Alberta.
May Shendai, Calgary, Alberta.
McKinley Sim, Regina, Saskatchewan. Gabriel Simons, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Gabriel Sittler, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Devin Sledden, Hazelett, Saskatchewan.
Levi Smith, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Mark Smith, Calgary, Alberta.
Travis Smith, Pitt Meadows, British Columbia.
Brianna Spence, Turtleford, Saskatchewan.
Kaylee Stahl, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Jesse Stanage, Calgary, Alberta.
Haley Stearns, Weyburn, Saskatchewan.
Francis Stoneham, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Alexandria Suter, Chesley, Ontario.
Monica Ton, Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
Teresa Thera, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Rihanna Thomas, Edmonton, Alberta.
Nathan Unra, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jesse Van Eaton, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Shane Vargasy, Yorkton, Saskatchewan.
Miranda Wardman, Salmon Arm, British Columbia.
Pamela Watson, Chakachas First Nation.
Marissa Wilde, Cudworth, Saskatchewan.
Nicola Wallman, Blaine Lake, Saskatchewan.
Ashley Long, Vancouver, British Columbia. Michelle Zabos, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Octavio Certuche, British Columbia and Morelia, Mexico.
Thank you, cloakers. Thank you for all your great work. You can return to your seats. And the guy in the pink suit has a nicer suit than Jay's, but it's pretty close. I'm now going to ask our first year students to stand and repeat after me as we recite the student commitment. So I will read it out and then I'll ask you to repeat it. So, as a law student at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, I will, to the best of my ability, conduct myself with integrity and demonstrate ethical behavior in my dealings with other students, faculty, and staff. Actively engage in the learning process. It's process, not process. Thoughtfully consider, on the basis of evidence, a diversity of theories, ideas, beliefs, and approaches to problems and solutions.
Thoughtfully consider, on the basis of evidence, a diversity of theories, ideas, beliefs, and approaches to problems and solutions.
Undertake my university work in accordance with the principles of academic integrity. Engage in a respectful way with members of the university community, including other students, staff, faculty, representatives of the institution, and its partners.
Engage in a respectful way with members of the university community, including other students, staff, faculty, representatives of the institution, and its partners.
Value diversity and the positive contributions it brings to the University of Saskatchewan, the College of Law, and society as a whole. Commit to sharing the knowledge and skills I will acquire through the study of law by positively contributing to society locally, nationally, or globally.
Commit to sharing the knowledge and skills I will acquire through the study of law by positively contributing to society locally, nationally, or globally.
Okay, everyone, deep breath. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause as I present to you the College of Law class of 2021. Okay, students, you may be seated, and everybody else for that matter. We'll now move into the awards portion of the event. I want to begin by saying that the College of Law is grateful to all our donors for all gifts, great and small. One of the wonderful things about being dean is being able to travel across the country and meet alumni from across the country. I think last year I was in St. John's, Newfoundland, Iqaluit, Whitehorse, Yellowknife, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Victoria, Toronto, Saskatoon, Regina, and we have alumni everywhere, and they all give us lots of money, hint, hint, so remember us in the future. But seriously, one of the great things about joining this college and becoming an alumnus of this college is there is not a place in this country where you won't find another U of S law alumni. I was in Nunavut visiting our students last year, and I knew that we had two alumni in Nunavut. We had the Chief Justice of the Nunavut Court, Justice Sharkey, who's a graduate from 1975, and the Northern Director of our program, Stephen Mansell, who's a graduate of 2007. And I'm in a coffee shop in Nunavut, in Iqaluit. I don't know if you've been to Iqaluit. There aren't that many coffee shops. And somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, "Professor Phillipson." And it was a former student called Tracy Buffalo, who used to be a Crown prosecutor here, or worked for Legal Aid, and now works in Iqaluit. So now I know we have three. And in Newfoundland, fully, I think, maybe almost 25% of all the judiciary in Newfoundland are U of S law grads, which is quite remarkable. We have three Chief Justices across the country, Justice Richards, Justice Sharkey in Nunavut, and Deborah Fye was recently named the first female Chief Justice of Newfoundland and Labrador. And wherever you go, Whitehorse, I think I had 12 or 13 alumni out for dinner. Yellowknife, we had about half a dozen. So wherever you go, as soon as you figure out that somebody is a College of Law alum, there'll be an instant bond and you will be taken care of. And we're very grateful to all of those who donate gifts and prizes. We rely on the financial support of those alumni and friends to assist us in funding bursaries, scholarships, and many other student initiatives. For some students, without the financial support they receive, remember my story, law school would not be an option. With that, I'll begin the presentation of our entrance awards. First, the Gary and Tammy Bugeaud Centennial Entrance Award goes to Jordan Mcbride. And it's always a long walk. So we'll just have to. And then we have to do a photograph and do it properly. So. And Dave will get mad at me if I don't stand still and smile for at least 2 seconds. So. Now I'd like to welcome Ryan LePage of McPherson at MLT Aikens, who will present the William Elliot Scholarship and the McPherson Leslie and Timon Scholarship in Law. The William Elliot Scholarship is presented to Callie Stahl. The MLT Aikens Scholarship in Law is presented to Marissa Olivier. You do a mime or something. Please welcome Craig Zawada, QC, President of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, to present the Law Society of Saskatchewan Scholarship. This year's recipient is Jordan Mulligan. Okay, there are two awards, the Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarships. The first recipient is Sam Kalmakoff. So get to shake the hand of the best dressed guy in the room. Come back, we'll do it again. Good job. And the second recipient of the Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship is Gillian Harrington. The Morris and Jackie Shumiacha Scholarship in Law goes to Archer Bell. I'd now like you to welcome Chad Eggerman from Millet Thompson to present the Millet Thompson National Entrance Scholarship. Chad also survived some of my classes, relatively intact.
Thank you, Dean Phillips, and I'd like to announce the winner as, bear with me for a moment, Julie LeBach.
I would now like to introduce alumnus Merlis Belcher to present the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan 25th Anniversary Scholarship. And the recipient is Tori Campbell. The J. Barry Thompson Scholarship is awarded to Zachary McLennan. I'd like now to welcome Asif Hussain of Scotiabank to present the Scotiabank Scholarship in Law. This year's recipient is Miranda Wardman.
Next. I'd like you to welcome Ina Chada and her father, Rajinder Chada, to present the Mohinder Chada Award in Law. This year's winner is Acacia Rambo. The Justice John H. Marr Memorial Scholarship goes to Chad Merton. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Deese WWH Memorial Scholarship goes to Nolan Mastel. P.E. Mackenzie Entrance Scholarship goes to Gabriel Simons. Congratulations. I'll let you go that way. There are 2 awards for the James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship. The first recipient is Nicole Wallman. The second recipient of the James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship is Kayla Dodre. And finally, there are 3 awards for the Eldon Williams Scholarship. The first recipient is Garrett Hudson. The second recipient of an Eldon Williams Scholarship is Brandon Doan. And last but not least, the final recipient of the Eldon Williams Scholarship is McKinley Sim. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony and our awards presentation. I'd like to thank our distinguished guests and cloakers for their words and their efforts. I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and talk to the smartest class we've ever had. I think they tell me to say that every year. One of these years it will turn out to be true, but we'll figure it out. Before we move over, I always thought the class of 1991 was the smartest. Anyway, before we move over to the University Club for the reception, I'd like all the first years to make your way outside, straight through the doors, where our photographer will take a picture of the entire group. After those photos are complete, please return to this room to drop off your gowns. I want to thank you all for attending. This is a really important ceremony because it does mark the start of a professional career and a life in the law. And I think milestones are important. I think sometimes we forget to mark important events. And as I said to the first years and has been echoed today, you have done the hardest thing, which is getting into law school. The second hardest thing in law school is getting through first year. After that, you got it cased. It's easy. So you have a lot of work ahead of you, but with the supporting cast up here who have got you this far, they will get you further with my work and the work of my faculty colleagues and the staff in the college. We'll get you through. All we ask is that you work hard, and you will be successful if you do. So off you go. You are dismissed. And thank you to everybody else for attending. We hope you will join us at the University Club for a reception. And one last thing I want to do, I want to thank Katie Richard for all her fantastic organizational work. And I also want to thank all my wonderful staff. Thanks again for coming. I appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy your afternoon. Thank you.